साथ ज़ैनब हसन मलिक और मेरे साथ हैं मिस्टर उस्मान मंजूर, सीनियर प्रोग्राम ऑफिसर फ्रॉम ग्लोबल ग्रीन ग्रोथ इंस्टीट्यूट से। आइए आज इनसे बात करते हैं आज के थीम पर, इंक्लूसिव इंक्लूसिव क्रॉप रेजिड्यू मैनेजमेंट एंड सस्टेनेबिलिटी एग्रीकल्चर। अस्सलाम वालेकुम सर।
वालेकुम सलाम।
कैसे हैं सर? आप ठीक हैं?
बिल्कुल ठीक ठाक।
सर वेलकम टू द 27th SDI।
थैंक यू।
सर आज के आपके सेशन से मैं आपसे कुछ क्वेश्चंस करना चाहूँगी।
श्योर।
सर मेरा आपसे फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन है, हाउ कैन ecological policies be made more pragmatic, easily implementable and inclusive for crop residue management?
Okay. So the thing is that Pakistan is a country in which we have a lot of policies, but we hardly see any good implementation on the ground. There is no enforcement, no implementation, or I would say it's a very weak implementation. So your question is about how we can make it easy to implement. So the thing is, so when you have to engage the stakeholders, you have to engage the right stakeholders. For example, in the case of crop management, our main stakeholders are the farmer community who needs to implement those actions on the ground. And when we speak about farmer community, we need to address both the farmers, that the farmers with the large land holding and the farmers with the small land holdings. What happens is usually, if the policymakers engage the government and the farmer, mostly they are able to engage the farmer with the large land holdings who are engaged with the relevant government departments and do not provide or disseminate the information to the farmers who have the small land holdings. So that is one of the major issue, that whatever we plan at the policy level, things do not get implemented. And then the most important people other than the farmer community are the local government departments, who needs to understand the policy, who needs to work very closely with the farmer community, who should not be seen as the people who are there to penalize the farmers of any wrongdoings. For example, in Punjab, we see there is a lot of smog. So we need to get into the reasons why there is smog. We cannot simply penalize the farmers that why they are burning their crop residues. We need to come up with certain solutions. So the thing is that the policy nowadays is not just a document that we give the policy guideline, that has to be developed in a manner that the policy is followed by its implementation strategy. They should identify the most prioritized and important actions, and then there should be a financing strategy for those actions. So this whole document, a whole package should be developed in a manner so that once the policy is approved by the provincial or the federal government, then it's easy to implement by the people, and the people who really understand it, the people who really have the access to information and who understand what's written in the policy, and who are the implementers, who are the executors, and who are the enforcers. So they all have to be on the same page to first understand and then make it implemented.
Thank you so much, sir. All right, sir. Sir, my next question to you is, what actions are required for the effective utilization of mechanized solutions for small land holding farmers who cannot afford the finance to produce large and costly machines?
All right. So, like I said initially, that when we talk about the workforce in the agriculture sector, so the significant workforce is the farmer with the small land holdings. The problem is that they do not have the required resources to buy those technologies and use it in the best possible manner so that their revenue is generated and it overall add to the value of the surplus foods available for Pakistan or the country as a whole. So what needs to be done, that first of all we need to invest in the data collection, that we totally need to understand that how many farmers work in Pakistan, in all the provinces, in all the districts. Once we have the data as per their land holdings, we exactly know that how many individual farmers we need to address, and based on those individual farmers data, how we can group of the farmers. For example, if in in one of the districts, if there are 20 or 30 or 50 farmers with a small land holdings, we need to make a group of those farmers, and those farmers could pool in resources to buy a technology, that technology could be used on a rotational basis by those farmers, or if there is an influential person in their community, that person can buy a technology and can rent out that technology to those farmers. So there are solutions provided, the will is there, and the second most important thing is that we need to set up a communication bridge between the private sector, the researchers, and the farmer community. So for the time being, we can buy the technology from the market, but in the long run, if we need to, our country needs to rely, has to build up a self-reliance, then we need to promote local manufacturing. And that local manufacturing comes when there is an appetite to use the technology, and then when we have a will to facilitate the farmers with the small land holdings, and eventually that would add up to the overall economy of the country, because we have seen that the economy of the GDP ratio of agriculture has fallen drastically in Pakistan. And now it stands at 22.7%, but Pakistan is basically has an agrarian economy. So if we are able to facilitate this main stakeholders of the farmers, the small land holdings, I think we are able to contribute to the economy in a much better way.
Okay, so you talked about the data collection in the field for the assessment of farmers, for the needs of farmers. So what do you think, which kind of methods should be applied for the data collection?
You know, if you speak to the agriculture department, the government department, they probably have the data. But once you ask them to share the data, they will be reluctant in sharing their data with the people who can bring about benefits to them, to the farmer community. So everything has to be digitalized. If we need to move ahead, the data collection, it has to be digitalized in a manner that if any entity who wants to invest in the agriculture sector, setting up agri businesses for the farmer community, the access to data should be there for everyone. It's not for if you needed data, I needed data. If I go to the government department, I won't be able to access it. They can access it, but they don't access it. But the one who wants to access it, they don't have the access to access it. So that's the problem.
Sir, which approach do you think should be applicable for the data collection in the field, like top up or bottom up, top down or bottom up?
You know, we can rely on various primary sources. If we need to come up with an authentic data, we need to work again with the local government departments, or not, always with the communities, community members, the community representative who are actually working in the field. So what data we need to have? How much land do we have? What is the land use parameters or principles that have been used for agriculture purpose? It is belong to who all? What is the criteria or the level of land holding against which we term them as the farmer with the large land holding, the farmer with the small land holdings? How many people are um, committed in the agriculture production of that specific land, and then whether they are using certain technologies or not. If not, why not? If they are, what kind of technologies are they using? So this all data will help the people who are working in development sector to come up with those projects and generate resources, and then disseminate or allocate those resources to the people who are actually in the need of it. So the data is very important, because if I have to mobilize resources, I do not have the data. That's the problem that restricts me from mobilizing resources for the community.
Sir, I think we should use the bottom-up approach to collect data.
Yeah.
Do you agree with it?
So the bottom approach is I think the right approach. The top-down approach, if you say that the top-down approach, we
Will
can
not
rely
be.
on secondary resources. The secondary resources have to be vetted by the primary resources.
Yeah.
So one resource, one approach, if we have to follow and we are able to agree to data that is relevant and authentic, then it should be made public.
All
And
right.
every entity should have access to that data.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, my last question is, what role can private sector play in promoting affordable and accessible technologies for smallholder farmers to manage crop residue sustainability?
So once we talk about private sector involvement, we all understand that the private sector works where there are incentives. And there has to be economic incentives for the private sector. So the private sector has to understand that what kind of problem is being faced by the farmer community and what opportunities and solutions could be provided. For example, for the crop residue, when a crop is burned, when anything is burned, it produces energy. And what produces energy is of value. So we need to tap that value, we need to tap that energy, we need to convert our problems to solutions. And the solution has to come up with the research. And if the private sector understand and has the ability to carry out research, then they definitely can provide certain technologies that are required at that time. So for example, if the crop residue of the rice crop, of the sugarcane crop, of the cotton crop is mixed together and it's processed in a manner that it is able to um, produce pellets. So those pellets could be used by the mountain communities who heavily rely on the fuel wood, and they cut trees on daily basis, and it's adding to the deforestation of Pakistan. So once you go to the mountain, there is no gas. So they definitely have to rely on the fuel wood. So the replacement alternative of the fuel wood is the pellets, and the pellet is developed, could be produced by the crop residues. So this is a solution. The private sector needs to come up with certain solutions. They need to make these pellets available to the mountain communities by processing it. So it value chain could be enhanced, could be increased in a manner that it brings about the circular economy solutions in this sector. So it's not only the technology, it's also the addressing of the issues that is being faced by the farmer community.
Thank you so much, sir. Uh, I'm really thankful for your valuable contribution in your field and your valuable feedback and your comments. Uh, Keep visiting STPI and Allah Hafiz.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Take care.
Thank you.